I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
AutoSave, welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching My Hero Academia Season 8, Episode 2. Stain is here! I am very excited to see Stain and very excited to see the battle continue. Do you think that that's where we're going to be staying at the moment going forward?
To me, it's that, or it's maybe going to see what Deku's up to.
There's basically two options. Or three. We can go to the kid watching the fight. I kind of feel like the kid watching the fight, but I actually know the heroes' names.
We're gonna watch everything just from the TV screen,
yeah.
Honestly.
I like
Literally.
it. Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. The hands again? Ooh. Anpanman.
Oh my god.
Toshinori's mom. Wow. Cool.
オリジンと呼ぶには私がしたことといえばその道を振り返っただけだとても大事なものに見えただけだだから無様だなオールマイト
Shut up.
Hope is about to show up.
It's almost better the second time around. Oh.
Dozens of minutes earlier.
Oh.
Right.
It looks like he's in Kirby Air Riders. Impossible to tell. Oh,
Wait.
It's not. Detective Stain. Oh my god.
Wow.
It's like Aoyama's light during the testing exams.
Oh my god, no, why are we...
What?
Oh, the blood in his body? That's a quirk?
Bloodletting. Sick. Awesome. Cool. Yup. Whatever.
No. No, All Might's the one that's supposed to kill him. Ugh. Oh! Oh, he's chasing it. Take his quirk.
Yeah.
Your role is over.
Everything is a process.
私が私を励ましているんだ。
In order to encourage myself.
サポートアイテムも足ももう戦えないよ。でも
命に変えないで守り育ててください。僕が来たっていうところ生きて見ててよ、オールマイト。
Oh,
出ない。
that is so much blood.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god. So close.
Here we go.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Are we gonna see Kaminari's perspective?
Wow.
Oh wow. Yahirozu.
Oh no, no, no.
あれだけの至近距離でなんとか信楽の攻撃をいなしている。
Oh, look at the chained black whip.
なんとか膠着状態を保っている。オール・フォー・ワンが持つドロワープ。信楽がオール・フォー・ワンの元に崩れ去ってしまう。
No, it's not gonna collapse. It's not going to.
ここがゴールだった。覚醒した個性を譲渡することで僕を超えた僕となる。
奴と密着さえすれば来いオール・フォー・ワン。
緑や伊豆に邪魔されずにことを行うには
Mm-hmm.
戸村、もう一人の僕。
No, no.
Oh shit.
やはり気は戸村に飲まれているか。まあいい。ならば。
Oh.
その情けない顔を持って。
Oh, don't look.
運命などこの腕で好きな形にねじ曲げてやるさ。
一緒にねじ曲げます。
No matter what happens to you.
再び溢れそうになるのを耐える。
その泣き虫直さないとな。
いい弟子でありたいから。ワン・フォー・オールの面影が一足先に別れを告げた。
個性がなくてもヒーローはできますか。
できるよ。
He's like watching like a movie in his head.
捨てきれなかったもの捨てきれないんだよ。夢、平和の象徴に。
あとよろしくな。叶えてあげてくれ。
わっしゃー、わっしゃー。
理想ばかりが先行し、実にみっともない死に様だった。
オール・フォー・ワン、オールマイトに負ける。必ずね。だってお前より
Crazier than you are.
せめて幼稚園児くらいにはなるか。
自分もろとも
Bakugo's quirk?
私が知ったその道を振り返っただけだ。とても大
Such
事
a
なもの
precious
に
thing.
見えただけだ。だから
英雄らしく死に方を選べると思ったか。と出し切ったな。狂血。君には何も果たさせはしない。
My heart can't take the fake outs.
Right?
顔を待っていた。
君が
ああ、遊泳は安定した。
Gentle.
言って
Gentle. Oh my god. No!
優雅に座れて狙いがずれた。まあいい。
レーザー一斉照射。よい。オールマイトに当たっちまう。彼はスターの憧れ。
ス
Star's team. Her family.
Her bros.
Uh-huh. No! Stop! Wow.
あ、やばい。前とか行く。死ぬ。
そんな
俺たちのヒーローが。
Oh my god.
同志様
よしのり。どんな姿であれ、時代の節目になる。もうやめてくれ。誰か彼を。
Bakugo?
What?
Whoa.
Oh, this is so cute. This is like the story. This is the whole story.
Oh my god.
That's so crazy.
It's beautiful. Oh my god. On Gran Torino's scarf. Okay, that was My Hero Academia Season 8, Episode 2. That was the best outro that has ever existed for My Hero Academia. And it could only exist right now. It could only exist here. And it was just such a brilliant idea, whoever came up with the idea for it and whoever animated it the way that they did and the style that they did. That was absolutely beautiful.
What a perfect way to depict what is and represent what is the ending arc of a story that has been going on for now. This is the 8th season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in love with that. I think the art style alone was just obviously beautiful, objectively beautiful, but just the story that it was telling, I think that that's a really perfect choice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if it's just my inherent love for Katsuki Bakugo or me, like, stylistically what I enjoy in a drawing or in character design. There's something in the way that Bakugo is drawn at the end of the episode, and he has shown this throughout the entire series, of the amount of detail in his face and emotion in his face and in his hair and in his gauntlets and on his shoulder and his armor. I absolutely, it blows me away. And I love, you know, ever since Explosion has leveled up, if you will, the visual choices that they've made to represent that has blown me away. And I'm assuming that Edgeshot working on Bakugo's heart and trying to become it is working here, and this is the culmination of that, working to at least give him a heart to be able to use to stand up and push himself even further. But this is an absolutely beautiful shot, and I don't want to take anything away from how good and cool Deku looks here in his view of Bakugo, but just out of the, like, it's hard not to just look at this and be a fan.
Mm-hmm. The precious things that All Might left in his wake as he traveled ahead, being the hero that he was, these two kids, they are something that happened from his journey that fell behind him in these lovely little kind of sparkly glowing balls that we get, and them having the cards, and we use that with the outro. Obviously Bakugo has the one in his hand, the All Might kind of trading card. Wow. I think that this episode took me on this journey of like I was about to cry my eyes out, and I was crying, but it's like it kept giving me almost little fake outs, like
Mhm.
little places I guess to get hopeful, little places to be like, oh my god, my tears suddenly like stopped, and I was like, oh, what's about to happen, maybe there's some hope here, and then it would be dashed.
Yeah.
Like with All Might, once he like hugged on, and I was like, oh, here we go, and then nope. But wasn't it going to be possibly Bakugo's quirk that he was going to use
It
there?
looked
So
like
kind
he
of
was using explosion on his gauntlet, like on his like smaller end of a gauntlet as Bakugo's.
He's
And
going to take both of us out here. What a really great kind of transition, in the same way that we used Twinkling in Aoyama's quirk last episode, and he's in that episode using his quirk as well. We have somewhat of a foreshadowing transition to Bakugo
yeah.
appearing at the end of the episode.
Man, I think that it has to be Bakugo. Don't get me wrong, it had to be Stain for the end of last episode and for this episode, and I want to talk about Stain in a little bit. But like we had said last episode, My Hero Academia was one of the first animes that I watched after like high school, and you got me into it. And before then, I didn't have much experience in animes, and I was really interested in Bakugo's character because like on the first season, he was never painted to me as like an antagonist. I had friends that began watching the series, and they were like, I was over their house like watching them watch it because I was so excited to watch somebody else watch it, and they were guessing like, oh, Bakugo, he might become a villain one day. But on my first watch through, there was not a second since starting the series that I believed that Bakugo would ever become a villain. I was so proud of the moment that Aizawa was able to stand at that press conference and say, if there is one thing that the villains can't account for, it is Bakugo and Bakugo's declining of joining their side, because that's not who he is. He's always looked up to All Might and viewed All Might. And think about the pain that he went through at the end of season 3, which is again one of the best moments ever, which is him versus Deku with none of their gear in the streets, and him breaking down and thinking that he was the reason that All Might lost his quirk. And for All Might here, quirkless, if you will, but without his class at this point, he can't move, not because of his own will, not because of his own craziness, but because of
Blood Curdle.
Because of Blood Curdle. Like, he physically can't do anything. And for Bakugo to be the person to stand up here is so poetic and so nice and beautiful. And it's like exceeding your limits doesn't even come close to doing justice to what Bakugo has done to just stand up here.
And what are we going to see after this? He just stood up here, and we know what was going on internally in order to get him to this place where he could stand up here. But what are we going to go to next episode? Obviously, we have to wait because this is coming out live, and it's going to be... I think My Hero is a really great show to watch live. That it brings me back to when I was younger and I would wait weekly to watch shows. And the fact that we're following all one battle right now, the cliffhanger of it all. I can't wait to see what happens next, especially with Deku looking over and seeing that Bakugo has stood up as well. What does this do for Deku's morale? What does this do for him as well in his own fight that he's currently a part of?
Like, I almost wish that telepathy was a thing between the two of them, and you could just make it up.
It should be at this point.
If you're Midoriya, you could just make it up, because at the second you see Bakugo looking towards All Might, Deku needs to imagine Kachan saying, shut the fuck up, focus on your battle, trust me, I'll handle it here, just focus on what you need to focus on and get the job done. And
what you had said, bringing up like when you first start watching the show, what some people might think of Bakugo and his character and who he might end up being as the series goes on, that he might end up being, you could think of him as you're first starting to watch the show, oh, well, maybe he'll end up being a villain. There'll be a betrayal or something where he ends up going against all the other students just because of the kind of antagonistic, kind of bully atmosphere that's happening. The fact that him and Deku don't get along. I feel like we're seeing full ending of an arc of what is this relationship that we've seen. As you brought up, one of the hugest moments in terms of like how their relationship was able to get from point A of the beginning season 1 to where we see it now. One of the fights that you had brought up, I think you said season 3, that's like one of the biggest stepping stones that brought us here to this journey, that first kind of big opening of our hearts to each other and being honest and vulnerable in that moment emotionally about something that we both connect about, which is All Might. And to get here, I feel rewarded as a viewer because we're like 8 seasons in.
And like, again, it just because I'm a huge fan and I'm biased, so I'm sorry, but like, it's never felt like the story is just about Midoriya. Obviously, it's about his narration of these events that are happening in front of us, but Midoriya, I feel like, would be the first person to tell you that he would become who he has without Bakugo in his life, even before Bakugo has made attempts to help him with his training. Before any of that, think about right when we're imagining the egg in the microwave and we're able to utilize All for One at 5% and full cowling, and we get to see Midoriya for the first time in front of his class use his ability without breaking any limbs. The one thing that's looked at that point is like, holy shit, he's moving like, oh my god, that's moving like, and then you pan over to Bakugo and he's like, that's how I move. Like, Midoriya himself has learned from the prowess and that is Katsuki Bakugo.
Right. Not only has he learned from his peers, the people that he's hanging out with daily, fighting alongside, but the powers within him, he's not alone. And we have, I feel like, a complete kind of parallel to that with Toshinori. What he has in this episode kind of goes well with what he has in last episode. So in last episode, we are re-entering what we had seen at the beginning of the end of season 7, which is Hercules, and that we're using all of these powers inspired by the students, and we're borrowing those powers, and we're not fighting alone because of that. And then in this episode, Toshinori says that he's borrowing your forms to encourage himself. And I feel like that's a great kind of both of those things happening. You're not alone. And that's exactly what these heroes need in this moment. You're not alone. And like you had started this kind of conversation point, Deku it's a story that he's the protagonist of, but he would not be here without all of the other cast and even people before his lifetime, which is crazy to think about.
Like, the idea of One for All is a quirk in of itself that stockpiles this power within its quirk, but it's also like a thematic, like poetic idea that everybody's hopes and dreams gets passed on to the next generation and stockpiles with everybody who agrees and passes that narrative on and that motive on, and it shows itself tenfold, you know? God, it's so good. I loved seeing Toshinori's mom. It felt like it was everything. It felt like it is the end. And I know that's stupid to say. I know this is the final season, but there are so many reserves we've already had to see All Might dig down to get to protect those embers, to push himself to keep fighting in other instances. And it really felt like, in the best way possible, you were scraping the barrel and going through the other side because it's the end of your life and there's nothing more that you can do. And it felt very real for that. And I want to just bring up again, like, God, Stain being here. Stain had a line that said, All Might, you would understand the significance of me daring to expose myself like this. And I love that so much. I love Stain so much because, as fucked as he is, as many as 40 heroes that he's killed, it's interesting that a character that is inherently bad and evil, like based off of his actions, can see the heroic deeds that All Might does and see that he could see this about Stain and this about Stain's action, and he'd be right in it. And I think that that's so fascinating that we're using a character like that. I feel like, I know that like it's easy to be like, oh, it's My Hero Academia, like maybe he didn't die. I feel like Stain's dead, and I feel like, well, we know his quirk's gone, and that breaks my heart and it breaks me. But Stain looking over Todoroki and Ida, piecing together the information, going full Sherlock Stain to look at all the blood, use his amputated nose to his advantage to be able to differentiate the blood between All for One and All Might. It was just, it was great. And I loved him being involved in the story. And I loved that he loves All Might and he admires All Might, and he was able to see All Might again once be All Might after that meeting in front of the statue. I didn't expect Bloodlet to be a fucking quirk, though.
Yeah, it's really perfect that he comes in, obviously, with this final season. I mean, we've been kind of, like, itching for more Stain. Because of what he signifies, especially for the kind of villain movement, there was a line right before his, what I am going to assume is his demise, which is, "Your role is over, murderer." And I feel like that line is significant because what comes before it is basically saying, yes, I know what you did for the movement and how you got people here and you influenced the villains to kind of walk down their path. But that's over now. You don't stand as that symbol. All you are now is just a guy that killed 40 heroes. You're not significant anymore. That's what he's saying with that line. That's what One for All for One is saying for, like, with that line, is your role is over, murderer.
Yeah.
He's taking away any sort of praise, any sort of special symbol from Stain, and he's boiling it down just to his actions of being a murderer. And I think that's also what he wants to do with All Might, is he's just going to boil it down to, you're just an insignificant human that can't defeat me.
Yeah. We talked about it in last episode's discussion when Stain showed up, but All for One brings it up here. Come to think of it, you've contributed much to the League's development. Fuck yeah, he did. He wasn't a part of it. He didn't get to choose because he was imprisoned at the time, but his image, it shocked the world to its core, and it was utilized to recruit people. And just thinking about how much Stain has contributed, yeah, he got information from the prisoners, and it sucks that All for One was able to put together, like, oh yeah, he figured that he wasn't in count with the prisoners who'd fall in line with All for One, and he did escape from the prison, so I'm going to think ahead,
so he had a
get
plan,
the Bloodlet quirk. Yeah.
But he is the type, I don't know why I was surprised in that split-second moment when we know this is a character that loves having plans.
Yeah, I know. Just, like, so many different options for every iteration of a plan. But thinking about even, like, after his fight with Ida, Todoroki, and Midoriya, Stain was the one who ended up saving Midoriya from being captured from the Nomu. Like, you see Stain break out or run while being restrained. I think he breaks out of his restraints as well, and be able to lick the blood of the Nomu, and that's when he makes his speech there. But thinking about thinking about the way that he views All Might, there was a line that I wanted to bring up about the lack of his education. Everything is a process, Demon Lord. I may not have received any higher education, but you taught me all about what a hero should be. Thank you. Thank you, Stain. Thank you so much.
Out of liking this character, Stain, in terms of just what he has been for this story, the device, the symbol, the writing of this character. Of course, as a viewer, you somewhat want him to get what he had wanted, which was for All Might to be the one that finished him off. Come get me, come find me, and punish me for the 40 heroes' lives that I took. We obviously want that for him, but then again, at the end of the day, if that had been the path that we had gone down, part of me can't even necessarily see that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that how things happened, even though it's sad because Stain doesn't get what he wanted, I just still, this makes so much more sense to me, even if it hurts for, like, Stain not getting kind of fulfilled in terms of his wishes of how he would go out.
Live and win, my all. Fuck. God damn it.
Which maybe this is actually more what he would desire. Maybe this ending where in his last 5 minutes alive, he got to fight alongside All Might and try to help him out. Maybe that really is, like, better than All Might coming to kill him.
Damn. All right. Well, one of my last things is, like, the idea that All Might would have gone out in, like, a self-sacrificial explosion with All for One was a fine idea, but the whole point is he needs to live, right? All Might needs to live after this, and potentially at the beginning of last episode we saw that. Like, we saw that he might be alive after this regardless of what state he is in, and that's all I want, is for him to be alive and survive this. But the best line ever was that Toshinori's crazier. And
Than you
seeing
are.
the look on his fucking face, it was awesome. It was incredible.
There were a couple moments where he was being held in the air. Kind of obviously he was dangling at one point, but after he tries his attempt and then he's basically being held like flat, like being held. And there were a couple moments where I was in my mind flashing through ways that he could be killed right in front of our eyes here, and ways they would draw that, depict that. Like, he's being held like this, he's completely flat across the arms. That idea of like ripping someone apart, that, because we were focusing a lot on the stomach area,
Like tearing someone
yes,
in half.
Yes, that was what I was almost expecting in those moments. Like, I was like, please, 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 no, I do not want to see him torn in half, and I don't want every kid that's watching this right now to see that, you know? Oh my goodness. I guess we can just think that Bakugo is going to, if we're thinking about him being alive after this, All Might being alive after this, that Bakugo is gonna what? Go over there, grab him, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, just waste time, delay
Just
as much as
delay.
you can at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did have something that we were worried about, which was once we get into the radius of sludge warp, you know, oh
Yeah.
no. But,
oh, and Shigaraki, yeah.
but Shigaraki had his own plans and his
And
own ideas.
That
and
doesn't
he-
surprise me. That doesn't come as a shock. And like after the end of last season, you know, and I'm glad that you brought it up though, because I don't want to miss anything. And that was something that definitely stood out and makes it a lot less easy for All For One to get exactly what he wants in the way that he wants it.
When we're bringing up the sludge warp radius, there's also a line that brings up like the balance is going to collapse if he gets within this radius and he's able to use this warp. But what we really see is two forces, one divided and one that is standing strong together. All Might obviously might be in awful shape here, but Deku, Bakugo, everyone is fighting on the same side and all locked with the same goal and resolve and hopes and dreams together, and they're powered by that.
Yeah.
But over here on the other side, we're not really communicating, and we don't really want to communicate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my actual last thing is I do need to give my flowers to All For One. We've recognized his intelligence several times throughout the series, and even in this episode with how he reacted to Blood Curdle. He thought ahead about it. He got the Bloodlet quirk ready at his disposal. But that wasn't the highest IQ moment that All For One had this episode. Him having the awareness and understanding that he might be powerful, but even he needs to shoot at UA, because if he doesn't, Gentle Criminal will come over there and be able to devastate him, is another level of intelligence.
Gentle
That's
Criminal
why.
was about to get involved, and then we
And he
made
knew.
it so he
Like,
couldn't.
he was like, if I don't shoot at UA right now, Gentle Criminal, he stabilized UA. He was about to go over to help thanks to La Brava yelling into his ear. And All For One has to know. He had to have heard it and seen the look in Gentle's eyes
It's
and
'cause-
said, I need to do something about this or I'm fucked.
You want to know why? Because Gentle Criminal is way too powerful.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
didn't want to have to deal with him. I get it.
Gentle Criminal. All right.
End of story.
You good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.